What's good, Steeler Nation? My name is Jack Sperry, and this is Steelers Talk. On today's show, I'm going to be answering your questions on this week's live mailbag. We are recording this on Wednesday during our live show, and if you're watching this and it's not Wednesday, that means you're not watching it during the live show, but that's okay. We have this awesome feature here on YouTube. It's called Super Thanks. And if you want to get a question on next week's Steelers Talk live show, you can send in any dollar amount and we will get your question on next week's show. So here's what happens, man. You can donate out of live shows, which is a really cool function that YouTube has added. All you got to do is click that thanks icon. It's that heart with the money sign there. We appreciate all of your support. If you're watching this, it's not the Steelers Talk live show, and you want to get a question on next week, go ahead and get that super thanks in now. And every single super thanks that gets submitted, I'm going to give a shout out no matter what. Here are the last 5 people to give a super thanks. Thanks to Tom Smith, Wilbert Matthews, Gurr, Jinlock, and Nicholas Harmon. I really do appreciate you guys, everybody that sends in super thanks. And without further ado, let's get into this week's questions. First one comes from Not Webb's World, friend of the show here, who says, who is your biggest draft day overdraft? For me, it's between Gibbs and Emmanuel Forbes. And who's your biggest draft day slide? Minus Darnell, Dontravius Washington, or Brian Branch. Wanted to be, I don't know what it says there at the end. I wanted to be a Yinzer. Okay. Yeah, Brian Branch to be Yinzer. So the biggest overdraft to me, it's not even close, Jahmyr Gibbs. I like Jahmyr Gibbs, okay? I think he's going to be a really good player in the National Football League. But he was a second-round guy. I mean, the only round 1 grade that I had on a running back this year was Bijan Robinson. And apparently, the Detroit Lions were willing to take Gibbs over Bijan at number 6 overall if they didn't trade down. I mean, to me, that's absolute lunacy. I don't know what the Lions were doing. They were taking like non-premium players at different positions. It was definitely weird for the Lions this year, in my opinion. But then the biggest slide might be Joey Porter Jr. I'm not even going to lie. On day 1, I was sitting there after we got done with the Steelers video on Broderick Jones draft night. I was sitting there in front of the TV like, oh my gosh, we need to trade up for Joey Porter. He's going to go here pretty soon. The Steelers need to go get him. And he just kept not getting picked. And then he ends up at number 32, and I'm saying hallelujah, man. So that's who my biggest draft slide and biggest overdraft is for me now, Webb's World. Then we got another $10 super chat here from DJV who says, your opinion, who is going to have the most immediate impact out of the draft? Who is your favorite pick of the draft? Thanks for doing what you guys do. Appreciate you, DJV. You are a real one. So I think the most immediate impact coming out of the draft this year, it's going to be between Joey Porter Jr. and Darnell Washington to me. It depends on the health of Darnell Washington. Joey Porter Jr., already a very physical corner. I think he has a very translatable game to the NFL from day 1. The only reason why I don't say Broderick Jones is because he still has a little ways to go with his hand placement, with his balance, and his pass sets. I think he's going to be a really good left tackle in the league. I think he's going to be effective next year, particularly in run blocking. But he still has a little ways to go in pass protection, whereas I think Joey Porter Jr. and Darnell Washington are ready to be really, really great contributors for the Steelers right now. Next question coming from Dill Pickle, who says, are you concerned about the health of Darnell Washington and Cory Trice? Seems like those injuries scared most teams off. So when it comes to Darnell Washington, I saw him run. I saw him do drills at the combine. I'm not worried about him, man. This guy was a fantastic tester at Indianapolis. I know some teams, if their doctor flags anything, they're going to be like, we're not taking him. We're putting him down a couple of different grades here, a couple of round grades. Didn't seem that way for the Steelers. He's going to be a Steeler coming up next year. I think he's a really strong individual. He is big. He is really fast. He needs to work on the receiving skills a little bit, but he's got that physical upside to be a premier pass catcher as well. I'm really excited about his future. I'm not worried about him. And then when it comes to Cory Trice, I'm a little bit more worried about the medical aspect of it because he fell so far. But man, you're taking him in round 7. If you can get a potential starter in round 7, I mean, that's worth the risk to me, man. There's like nobody with that kind of potential still there at the end of day 3. And Cory Trice was there, and they took their shot here. Now, could it end up being that, his injury just ends up just completely derailing his career? Yes, but at the end of the day, most 7th-round picks don't turn into anything. So the fact that the Steelers got somebody that could be a real contributor and go on the other side of Joey Porter Jr. If you got Joey Porter Jr. and Cory Trice on either side of the defense, you could really bully some teams around. It's not going to be easy for opposing offenses if those two guys work out. So are you worried about the Darnell Washington knee injury? Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Type W if you are worried, or type G if it's all good. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get an ad break here, just the way YouTube works, guys, go ahead, go into the comment section, find that pinned comment. It's going to be right there at the top. Go ahead and answer today's question. Next question comes from Sid P, who says, can we go to Home Depot's parking lot and get a better OC than the hack we have now? This is going to be one of the big things, one of the big X factors for the Steelers coming into 2023. We have the roster. They have everything in place to be a winner this year. Will they have the coaching? Will they have the scheme? Because the AFC North is going to be incredibly, incredibly competitive next year. You got the Cincinnati Bengals. We all know how dangerous they can be with Joe Burrow. You got Lamar Jackson, who, the Steelers do pretty well against Lamar and the Ravens. But, against other teams, the Ravens are just super, super dangerous, especially with Lamar in the lineup. And then the Browns, who knows how Deshaun Watson's going to play next year? He had an off year last year. Will he get back to superstar level form? I'm not too sure, but there's certainly that possibility. The Steelers need to be on their A game, and something as simple as having an offensive coordinator that doesn't know what he's doing could derail the season and could land the Steelers in last place. That's my biggest fear. But overall, I'm staying positive. I think they have the pieces in place. I'm hoping Matt Canada figures it out. Then we got a question from Dominic Schrader here, who says Claypool drafted Pickens, and then Highsmith drafted Herbig, mini TJ, just saying. So this is interesting. So he's saying that Pickens essentially replaced Claypool, and then Herbig is replacing Highsmith. I don't think that's the case. So Herbig's not a mini TJ, in my opinion. I think that in order to be TJ Watt, you need to have the kind of size and power that he brings to the table. So, if you're a mini TJ, you're no TJ, is what I say. I like Herbig. I think he's going to be a really good rotational edge rusher for you moving into the future. And Alex Highsmith is a really, really good player as well, going alongside TJ Watt. But let's be clear here. Very few people are on the caliber of TJ Watt. That's just the way it is. So I'm cautious about comparing players to him because he's that level special. I think Herbig will be a good edge rusher for you right away with the potential to move to inside linebacker, a really good blitzer, somebody that has some upside there in pass protection as well. Did a pretty good job of that with his time with the Badgers. I'm really excited to see what Nick Herbig can do with the black and gold. All right, guys, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to join the most interactive community of Yinzers here on YouTube. We've been growing like crazy, over 1,000 subscribers since the start of the 2023 NFL Draft. You guys have been absolutely wonderful in that regard. Trust me, that's for a reason. We provide daily and free Steelers videos here on YouTube. So if you want access to that kind of content, you want a place to talk Steelers with your fellow Yinzers, go ahead, click that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you always know when we put out new videos here on YouTube. Next question comes from Nat Webbsworld again here, who says, if Jones pans out, does Dan move to second string left tackle or right tackle, or does he move on from Pittsburgh? So I think he'll eventually move on from Pittsburgh, but the Steelers are probably going to keep him on his current contract as a swing tackle until that contract expires. I think Dan Moore Jr. can play on the left side. He can play on the right side. That's a very, very valuable trait to have as an offensive tackle. I trust him more at left tackle, maybe a little bit more than I do at right tackle, particularly in a run or in a power run scheme, because you really need a powerful run blocker at right tackle. In a power run scheme. But overall, I think he's a really good second string, swing tackle type that's going to be with the Steelers until his contract is over. And who knows, maybe someone will bite and give the Steelers a third-round pick for him. Then you got Strict Fit here coming in saying, hey, after scheduled comes out, let's pick a game and do a meetup in Pittsburgh. So the schedule comes out May 11th. And so we're going to be doing Steelers watch parties here on the channel when the season comes. So I won't be able to make it to Pittsburgh, but you guys can certainly organize, do whatever you want to do. Follow each other on Twitter, on Facebook. That's perfectly cool. I might try to make it to Pittsburgh for a preseason game. That would be really, really fun, and we could do a little meetup there. But that'll have to be something that gets ironed out here over the next couple of months. Then we got Steelers Sam saying, if the Steelers don't make the playoffs next season, can you guarantee that Matt Canada will be fired? Maybe not 100% guaranteed because it's the Steelers. You never really know what Mike Tomlin's thinking. We all thought he was going to get fired at the end of this year. He didn't. He's still with the team. Another 9-8 season. Maybe he comes back if it's 10 wins and they miss the playoffs in a loaded AFC. Maybe he's back, but I think for the most part, with this roster that's ready to go, primed, the defense is going to be great. The offense has the talent. If you're not making the playoffs, at least as a wild card with this roster, I think Matt Canada has to go. So let me know right now in the comments section. Will the Steelers make the playoffs with Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator next season? Type Y if you think they will make the playoffs, or type N if you think Matt Canada will keep them out. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say about this one, because I know people are really digging the Steelers roster right now, but at the same time, they're not really liking Matt Canada. So I'm very interested to see who takes shape or who takes priority there in the comments section. Then we got another question here from and he says, have y'all looked at the linebacker from Pitt, Tyler Wiltz? We invited to rookie minicamp. Seems like a really good coverage linebacker. I haven't been able to dive into his film yet, actually. I only look at a certain amount of players every single draft. Wiltz was not on my list. I love Servocia Dennis coming out of Pitt this year. He is absolutely fantastic. I think he's a really smart player. I think he went to the Jets. Not too sure about that one there, but I think he's going to be a good pro. As for Tyler Wiltz, obviously the Steelers know him. He was in the building with the Pitt Panthers, working in the same building as the Steelers coaching staff. They know those players. They definitely have a feeling that Wiltz could compete. It's going to be interesting to see how he does in rookie minicamp. Then we got Daft Cannon here coming in saying thoughts on AB maybe going to the Ratbirds. He's not going to the Ratbirds. Oh my goodness, man. The headlines when that happened. Oh, apparently Antonio Brown's going to the Ravens. I cannot believe some of these people took that cheese. I saw that and I immediately knew this guy's a clown. This guy's not going anywhere. No one's going to take that guy back into the NFL. There's no way. And all the stuff with his Arena League team now, everything is just kind of crumbling for Antonio Brown. I hope he gets the mental health help that he obviously needs right now. Then you got one from Timothy Rogers here that says, give Najee Harris an extension after this year. Maybe. I think it depends on how he does. I think that he needs to have that season, that breakout kind of year that we have been waiting for from him, because he hasn't had that yet. He's dealt with injuries. He's dealt with bad offensive line play. This is finally the year where, he's a mature NFL veteran. He's a team captain. He's not dealing with injuries, and he has a good offensive line in front of him. This has to be the year for Najee Harris. If he performs, go ahead, give him an extension if it's not too crazy in the financial department. But man, I really think that in this power run game, with how big he is, with how athletic he is, I think he's going to really be able to run some people over and really establish the Steelers as a force to be reckoned with in the run game. Then you got Derek Tompkins here coming in saying, is George Pickens the best wide receiver in the division besides Chase? No, I don't think. I think T. Higgins still has Pickens beat by just a little bit. It's not much. I think Higgins' route running is still just a little bit better than George. I think George is I think he's pretty darn good. I think he's a little bit of an underrated route runner. George Pickens is. I think he's got some great burst off the line. Matt Canada didn't really use him in anything other than running him on streaks last year. Like, it was a very, very limited route tree for George Pickens last year. I think they're going to expand that going into 2023. He's one of the best 50 ball receivers in the league. I think he's a good route runner. He's got great hands. I can't wait to see what George Pickens does this year. But overall, I'd probably put him, right now it's a debate between him and Deontay Johnson. If I'm being frank with you, I think that's probably the closer comparison. I think the Bengals receivers are just on a little bit of a higher level there, but I think the Steelers roster overall is better. All right, that's going to be it for today's mailbag. Follow me on Twitter if you want additional Steelers content here on or there on Twitter. At Jack_Sperry is my handle. You can go there for channel announcements, Steelers rumors, analysis. I put my film analysis up there. Bunch of great stuff for you guys to enjoy. So go follow me at Jack_Sperry. That's going to be it for today's video of Steelers Talk. I will see you guys later. And as always, here we go, Steelers.